Have you ever in a relationship begun to doubt your own mind? Like, am I going crazy? Am I seeing things as they really are? Well, there's a term that's out there now called gaslighting. Let's talk about what it is and what it isn't. And if you stay with me through the end of this, I'll give you a free resource if you'd like to have it, and also tell you about another resource we have that can be of assistance to you. So where did this idea of gaslighting come from? Well, actually, it was a 1944 movie named Gaslight. And in this particular movie, a woman had married a man who was quite literally trying to drive her insane. So things would move. Things would not be there where she put them. And he would swear, I never saw it to begin with. I don't think you put it there. And everything you could imagine changed. Even to the point where the lights they had, which back in those days were the gas lights, would sometimes dim or flicker. And she would notice it, but he claimed that he didn't notice it at all. Thus the name of the movie, Gaslight. And therefore now we talk about gaslighting. So in the original sense, it meant to try to drive someone insane by making them question their own mind. Well, today it's a little bit different than that. Now we refer to it when we talk about anyone who tries to deceive another person so they don't even trust their own memory. They think, wait a minute, did I get that wrong? And they begin to get emotionally and sometimes even intellectually confused. It happens typically in relationships. Now, it can happen because somebody is controlling and dominating and abusive, but most often in a way that we deal with people, it happens because someone's trying to get away with something, and you're beginning to find the evidence that they are doing it, and now because they can't do away with the evidence, they do away with your belief in that evidence by making you question what you have seen, what you have heard, what you've experienced. And by doing that, maybe, just maybe, you start thinking, am I wrong? Is it true that this person, my spouse, whomever, is not doing those things? It's just me thinking about it? Now, if you've ever lied to anyone when you knew they knew the truth, in that sense, you were trying to gaslight them. It doesn't mean you were absolutely trying to drive them crazy, or insane, I guess is the right word for that. It meant that you were trying to get them to doubt what they knew. So, to some degree, everybody does it. Most often what we see when we work with marriages, particularly marriages in trouble, is when one spouse is doing something that the other spouse would not be happy about. It could be, for example, an extramarital affair, or illicit drug use, or addiction to pornography, or any number of things, gambling. I mean, you name it, it can be in that. And the other spouse, the one that's not doing it, begins to find out about it, and here's some evidence here and some evidence there. And the person who doesn't want to be caught knows they can't eradicate the evidence, so they eradicate your view of the evidence. And so they'll lie to you. No, that's not what I said. I don't know how you heard that. Or they'll diminish things like, no, I didn't push you into that wall. Remember, you were stumbling and I tried to catch you, and that's how you went into that wall. Or even sometimes letting you know things like, I don't know how you think the story happened that way, because it really happened this way instead. You're not remembering it correctly. And by doing whatever they can, they make you question you. Ever been there? Ever had somebody do that to you? To the point where you really do begin to wonder, am I seeing this correctly? Is it true? Is it right? Now, if you've watched many of our videos, you know that I, back in the past, actually left my wife for another woman, decades ago now. And my wife knew I was having an affair, but she couldn't prove it. Now, she was gathering evidence, but she didn't have enough yet. And she pretty much knew who the affair was with, but she couldn't prove that either. And so when she began to confront me with things, say this, say that, etc., I didn't know the word gaslighting back then, but that's what I did to her. No, the person you're thinking it is, she's like your best friend. Don't you know how much she cares about you? Or no, I was actually here that night. You've got your dates mixed up. To the point where she actually began, she being my wife Alice, actually began to think, am I just getting this all messed up? And she became emotionally confused because that's what I was doing to her on purpose. Not trying to drive her insane. I wasn't even trying to harm her. I was trying to get away with something. Well, eventually, of course, I was caught. Now, you might be thinking, okay, Now, you guys got past that. Yes, my wife Alice and I did. We got past that. You're thinking, but what do I do now? If I think my spouse is gaslighting me, what do I do? Okay. The first thing to do is to make sure that what you are remembering, what you are thinking, what you have done is reality and not fantasy. Now, I'm not even trying to imply that it was fantasy. Your spouse will try to imply that you dreamed it, you thought it, it didn't really occur. And so how do you make sure? Well, write it down. Seriously. Get a little notebook, and when you do things, write it down. When they do things, write down. When they say things, write that down as well. And after a while, you'll have enough evidence right there in front of you to know that you're not going insane, that there's nothing wrong with your brain, that you actually have reality in front of you. And so a second thing there to do is pay more attention to their actions than to their words, because of the fact that people who are gaslighting can be quite fluent in their language and can be quite convincing to the point where you really do think, maybe I'm getting it all wrong. Look how sincere they appear to be. So rather than listening to all those words, watch those behaviors. And again, write those things down. And a third suggestion is this: spend some time with some people who can assure you that you're okay. I don't mean people that you just whine and complain to. Let me tell you what he did. Let me tell you what she said. Not that, but people you can be around in a sense of being you, the real you. So that you can see, yes, I'm still functioning well in life. I can still think and I can still feel and believe and act. And this interaction with other people who are not trying to dissuade me or convince me of other things is proving to me that I'm okay. In other words, you don't have to let gaslighting work, no matter how glib your partner might be. But the way you keep it from working is that you keep connected to reality by those suggestions I just said, and anything else you can do to maintain your groundedness. Now, if you have dealt with gaslighting and were able to get past it, in other words, this is what I did to get my spouse to start telling me the truth. Just below, you have a place to put comments. If you have gaslighted anyone else, would you be willing to be honest enough below to tell why, what it accomplished, and how you learned how not to do it because of the negative consequences? Or if you have been gaslighted and found a way to get your spouse, your partner, your relationship person to actually talk to you honestly and quit doing that, would you also put your comments about that in the notes below? We would love to see your experiences. And to all of you, we want to offer a free resource. It's actually called a Smart Communication ebook. You can get that by clicking the link on the screen. The link will also be in the show notes, and so you can find it there. And beyond that, there's something else that we call a Smart Contact Toolkit. It's about 2.5 or 3 hours talking about how do you talk to another person when you want to make sure that you're actually interacting with each other in a way where that neither of you is pushing the other away, where neither of you is causing the other to have some kind of consternation. And again, there's a link on the screen for that, and there's a link in the show notes below. Gaslighting? Not good. Can you stop it? Yes, you can stop doing it, or you can stop it being done to you. It's all about truth and reality.